Hello everybody, Charlie with Harvey Allen Outdoors. I'm here with my setup crew Dan and Al. We're going to demonstrate today how to set up a Harvey Allen hunting blind. Okay, so we'll go through some tools that we're going to be using today, just basic tools. We're going to choose two different size ladders. We've got a 10-foot ladder here. We're setting the blind up at 12 feet. So at 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, a 10-foot ladder is just what you need for hooking the ladder to the blind, for putting the 2x4 bracing on. And you also see that we have a large extension ladder here. The extension ladder is much better used when we're putting the support screws into the four corners of the blind after the blind is already set up. Some other basic tools that we have is we like a thin spade shovel for when we're trying to level, because this fits more on the size of the 4x4 legs. So when you're digging a hole, you're not digging a whole bunch of earth and disturbing earth that you don't need to. So this fits our 4x4s a lot better. Screws that we use, we're using Torx head. Triple ceramic coated deck screws is the screws of choice for us. And we got 3-inch screws, which we go through an awful lot of. This is what goes in all the 2x4 bracing. This is what screws the walls in on the inside. And then we've got 1 1/4 and 1 5/8 inch screws that we're using throughout the blind on the insides for shelving units, for doors, for the hinges, etc. But you want to use a nice quality screw. We provide all of that hardware for those of you that are buying the whole hunting blind from us. The Easy Pull kit comes with our blinds and our bases, and basically it'll be these two pieces, and you supply your own rope, but you'll get the two corner pieces that you're using to pull those walls and the roof up. Makes the job so much easier. And you'll see that being used throughout the video. These two little handles will also come in the blind, and it'll also come in the base kit, and this is what you screw to your roof in order to get the roof up. So cordless drills, large hammer. Large hammer, we like, you're going to have to adjust the walls here and there to get them to get into the right spot, whether that's moving them over or pulling them in. And a nice size hammer without hitting it too hard. You don't want to go right through the plywood on the sides, but it's good at convincing the walls to get into shape. Your standard level for leveling the blind, we like a magnetic level. So when we stick it up under the blind, we can do it hands-free and take a look at it and then see our adjustments. You're going to see we use ratchet wrenches and opened end wrenches for 9/16 and 7/16 sizes, and a standard hammer and screw guns. And we use like a piece of pipe for doing the earth anchor, which you'll see in the video. It works great for cranking that earth anchor down into the ground. A little set of sockets that fit inside the screw guns, so you have your different sizes. And a flatbed trailer works wonders. The general area we're setting up this blind is going to be in this area, so we're going to be spreading out what's on the trailer out, so we got room for get this base set up where it needs to be. And flip it up. We'll just lay her right down wherever you want. Then I'll be able to put the handles on it. Now you'll notice that we put these protective boards in between the walls and the roof. It's just to protect what's underneath, the window latches, the shooting rests, the things like that from breaking. It's nice to get things that you trip over out of your way. Here, Chief, I'll take this one. Now we'll put these 4x4s kind of in the area that we're going to be setting this up at, so we don't have to move them so far. Okay, now we'll put the 4x4 legs in the leg holders and we'll stand it up. Put a little angle on the base so that it's easy to get those in. Go till you hear a clunk. Now they're going to get hammers and impact drivers. We're going to put some lag bolts in here. This is so when you're tilting this thing up, when you see we do that, it keeps these legs from falling out as you're going up. Also, it's a little more precaution for heavy winds, things like that. Keeps the blind attached to the legs. So now we got the lag screws in, and when it's on its side like this, when you're starting out, you can put on the top side, you can get both of them in. On the bottom side, you can just get the one side in because the other one's under here. You come back after we stand the blind up and after we build and get it all done and finished, and you add those two. So we're just going to stand this up now. And you want to just, be smart about it, and you don't have to rush it. You want to go slow. It takes 3 guys to do this. And notice we're just going slow, and we're just getting it started. Now we'll just walk it right up the legs. Now we'll just pull the legs out. So now we want to get a ladder underneath it and get a level on it. There's a ground crew, and then there's a up top crew. And the ground crew's job is to get the walls prepped. So what we've done is we'll take each drip edge. Now the drip edge fits over all the windows and the door opening, and there'll be pre-drilled holes and guides kind of where we're going. So what I want to do is get lined up with one of those like so. And you don't need to crank these really tight or you'll just break the wood. So all we're doing is looking to get it nice and fixed. It's a stagnant piece of lumber, so it doesn't really perform a moving function. So it just needs to stay there, and then the water will drip past the opening. So now we've got this standing up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go up there and we're going to put a level on it. We're going to find the high spot. And the reason we're looking for the high spot is because it's a lot easier to disturb the ground and be able to lower the legs down. So is it this one or the other one that's high?
Both high.
Both high. So now we'll take and you just want to dig a little at a time so that it's easier to continue to dig than it is to fill back in. If you fill back in, it's loose dirt and it's going to settle even more. So what we're doing here is starting off small and working our way down. that good?
It looks good.
Awesome. So you see, we didn't have to go very far because we're fortunate to have a level ground here already. And you can put these on literally just on any kind of terrain. Just find your high spot, dig it down, take your level, reassure yourself it's level, and then go on to the next thing.
You want to hand me the cable? So,
this is the earth anchor. We've already got the ladder sitting underneath the blind now. So the earth anchor is literally, it's a 2.5 foot anchor that gets drilled down into the ground. And this is 3/16 wire cable. In 8 years and over 300 blinds, we've only ever had one blow down, and I don't think that was really the fault of the cable. So it's nice to hook the cable up ahead of time while we're already sitting here before we put the bracing on. It's hard to get a ladder in and out from underneath. So there's a welded hook on every blind that we make, every base, and that's what the cable hooks to. We're going to put the 2x4 bracing on now, and we're up 12 feet, so you need a ladder and a ground. So it's a lot easier when you do these setups with 3 folks. So you've got you got a ladder guy and a ground guy, and one guy holding the boards. Now what we've learned over the years is you got somebody on a ladder, you do 2 sides. You do 2 sides at the same time while they're on the ladder instead of 1 and then 1 and then 1 and then 1. This works a lot better. Okay, now that we got the 2x4 bracing on, this thing is solid as a rock, solid as standing on the ground. Next step now will be to connect the ladder. And we've got our ladder brackets that are all lined up. They'll just guide it in. So this is the Harvey Allen ladders. These are 1x2, 16 gauge runners. 1x1, 16 gauge, all welded all the way around all 4 sides, all the way up and down. Sometimes it's got 2 sets of rails, sometimes it's got 1 set of rails. But you got nice safety rails for getting up and down, so you won't fall. This ladder's solid. It won't start bouncing on you as you're starting to climb up. It's nice, solid all the way up. Ground crew will get the walls set in place around the blind on all 4 sides. The up top crew is going up, and they'll be going up there. And we use what we call the easy pull kit. We make these ourselves. This will be hooked into the windows of the walls, and the up top crew will lower these down and they'll pull them, and we'll show you that later in the video. But it's just 2 hooks with a simple rope. Here comes, Chief. You can section the walls off, and you can see easily that this is the rear wall because it's at the angle, the pitch of the roof. So this goes into the rear of the blind. So we'll just grab it. We'll stack each one of these up. So here are your 2 sidewalls. One's a side 81, one's a side 84. Means one of them's 81 inches tall, the other one's 84 inches tall. 84 goes in the front of the blind, 81 goes in the back of the blind. Then we'll go to the door wall. We usually start with the door wall on these blinds. You notice I started with leaving the side 84 off because we need to get the door wall up first, and then we're going to bring the roof up first before we put this one on. So I'll show you how this works. Well, Knots in the way. You guys ready? Okay, so now we handed the wall up. What they're going to do is they're going to slide the wall over the welded lag bolts that are already on the blind's base. And they'll get that in place, and then they'll tighten it down. So we got one wall up, and now we'll start on the back side wall. So now they got that one set in place. They'll do the same thing and put the washers and the nuts on. So now that they got that up there, they'll pull those two corners together and they'll cinch them up with that screw that's in there. Now we just put in one screw for now, because all we're doing is we're just setting the walls in place. So after we get all of them up there, then we'll really start screwing it all together from the inside. Okay, now we got two walls up. We're going to do the third wall, and we'll do the exact same thing we did. We'll just cinch this one up with the screws in the corner. So the easy pull kit goes there, and up goes the wall. And they'll do it just like they did before. They'll put the washers and the nuts on. They'll screw it together in the corner. Okay, after doing this hundreds of times, we've learned over the years that we've invented a neat little way of getting the roof up there. You can see that we just have 3 walls set up on the blind right now. And we're gonna bring the roof up now, but we're gonna use these neat little tools. They're just bent pieces of steel. And we're gonna set this up so that it goes, we're just going to screw them right down, this temporary fixture that we're going to put on here. They don't need to be perfect, just kind of in place, and just so they're not, just so that one's not way down here and one's way up there. We're just kind of guessing where we want them, because they're going to pull them up with the rope. So we want those to be about the same height. And the up top guys will lower down the easy pull kit and just hook one in one side and hook one in the other. Now when you're doing this, you want to lift up this side in the ground person. Once they start pulling it up in the air, you're best to just go stand underneath the blind and away from this. It's easy to make another roof. It's hard to make another person. So up it goes. So I'm safely underneath, and the blind will go, and the roof will go up. Okay, now they got the roof up there. The third person, the ground crew guy, is going to go up there and help them lift that roof into place. It's just easier with 3. What we're going to do is we're going to carefully lift this up and stand it up here, and then we're going to push it out of the way, allowing room for the 4th wall to come up. So you can see what we've done here. We've left plenty of opening. We're just scooting it out of the way. So now we can easily bring up the 4th wall, put it in place, and then this will slide back into place, and this will all fit right up against this one. So this is the final wall. It goes up last, and it's an easy. The hard part of setting up the blinds is kind of done now. Ready? So the last wall will go into place. They'll cinch it down. There you go. Now just cinch it in on the side. You'll cinch it in on the other side. Okay, now you got all 4 walls on. Now it's time to make this real simple. We just slide the roof right into its place, and it just slides right down inside. 2x2 against 2x2 makes it real easy to screw it from the inside. Rather than having to climb back out on the blind up on top of the roof and screw it down, we screw everything in from the inside. Nice little design. Okay, now we're going to be putting the windows in. So the windows are already made, so we'll put them into their window openings, and then hinges are already on, the screws are already there. So we'll just take 1¼ inch screws and put 3 on each hinge. Okay, now one of the last parts of the blind is the door, and we bring the door wall up without the door in it. It's just a lot easier to do, and it's a lot lighter, and it doesn't cause any damage to the window when we do it like that. So we'll bring the door up now. Three screws per hinge. Starts at the top, that holds the door open, holds the door up above the floor line. And so now you can just put the rest of them in. Harvey Allen blinds, we have a large shelf and a small shelf. Small shelf fits in the door wall. You just put it onto the 2x4 and put 1 5/8" screws on it. Okay, we got the blind up, windows in, doors in. Now we'll go to the seams on the outside. So what we do there is wherever there's an overlap, so one wall is here, the other wall is here, there's an overlap here. So we're going to take and put screws all down the side of the blind where that overlap is. Just secures the 4 corners of the walls better so they don't come apart or get a big gap in them. So you'll notice that we're just going to be screwing in on 4 corners, but just on one side. So we're going to screw the sides, the side 81 and the side 85 walls, not the door or the rear wall, because that's where the overlap is. And you space your screws about every 12 inches or so. So now in the beginning where we had the base on laying on its side before we tilted it up, we couldn't put the 2 lag screws in that were facing the ground. So now we'll come back and add those 2 now. So now we're going to hook up the earth anchor. So we're going to take this turnbuckle and we're going to open it up quite a ways, because it's adjustable. And the reason why I'm doing this is so as the years go by, you can turn this and tighten it up. So you don't have to undo the cable each time. So we're just going to give yourself some threads here so it'll wind up looking like so. So when I hook this up to the earth anchor, I'll tighten that down and it'll cinch this down. So I'm going to put this cable out of my way. And now I'm going to take the earth anchor and dig it in. So I'm just going to start it. Now what we just use a nice piece of pipe and it'll go right through. Now I'm going to stand up and put my weight on this, which will help drill it down into the ground. Okay, so now I just hooked the earth anchor. I just hooked the turnbuckle under the earth anchor. And so now I'll just use what I just loosened up, and we'll tighten this up. Just hand tight is fine. You can get these pretty tight with your just hand tight. And so here it is. The idea behind this earth anchor is in the center of the blind rather than on all four sides. The blind is 6 feet wide and 7 feet tall. So that's a huge wind resistance up there. So trying to hold something from the side is a lot more force than holding it from straight underneath. And as I mentioned before, we've got hundreds of these blinds in the field. Only one out of all these years has ever blown over. It blew over because it was next to a creek bed which overflowed and filled the earth anchor full of mud, so the earth anchor didn't hold at all, and an 80-mile-an-hour straight line wind hit it from the side and blew it over. Much to our surprise, it only damaged one wall and dented up the steel roof. So in 3 hours time we had it repaired and back up. Okay, we're on the very final part of installing a Harvey Allen hunting blind, and that's the safety railing that goes onto the deck. So there's two sides to the railing, the short side and the long side. Holes are all pre-drilled, hardware is all included. So it's a better off as a two-person job. It's a lot easier. So as you can see, the holes will line up onto the outside of the steel frame. Hardware goes right through. Now you'll notice that we didn't really tighten those up because it's steel, and steel is not forgiving at all. So if you leave it a little bit loose, you can maneuver and move it where you need to get the bolts through the holes. If you tighten it up, you won't be able to move it, and it's a lot harder to get all the holes to line up. Now the two railings, they will bolt together as well in the corner. It just makes it completely solid and a lot safer if they weren't bolted together. Okay, for even added stability on the safety railing, we actually lag bolt it with a 3-inch lag screw right to the 2x4 corner of the blind itself. Okay, so I hope that helps you better understand how easy we've designed the Harvey Allen hunting blind to get installed. From start to finish, to about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And you see the process that we have learned over the years and the way that we make it simple for you and for us, if you haven't us do it. And if you have any questions, you can email me, Charlie@HarveyAllenOutdoors.com. Go to the website, watch this video, and thanks for watching.